I haven't talked about The Witcher 4 in a while now, and so I wanted to kind of pop on and do a live stream to kind of discuss it and the different things that I want to see, and I want to hear from you guys. What do you want to see? What do you want to see that changes things a little bit, or maybe adds on to things that they already did well? Excuse me, with The Witcher 3, a little parched. Yeah. So I just kind of want to hear your guys' opinions because for me, with The Witcher 4, we've already heard from them and kind of seen from the gameplay tech demo that they did. Things look very, very smooth. Now, how this is going to really play over into actual, like, full on gameplay whenever we get to see that, we shall see. But from how it looked from this tech demo, it looked really butter smooth. And that's kind of exciting. And it's showing that they can kind of make this happen. And we could possibly get some really, really, really badass gameplay. Something that's going to feel a lot more realistic in a world that's, well, not so realistic, right? And that's something I always look for. I look for a game that's going to give me a feeling of actually really living and being in that world. I want something that's going to make me feel like I'm actually there and I'm actually a part of it and everything like that. And so the more realistic the world feels around me, I can really be pulled in and basically just get sucked into this world, this fantasy world that they built. And so for me, one of the biggest things, I'm a huge sucker for this. I love Gwent. I loved it ever since I played it in, well, ever since I played it. So that's really what I should say. Um, I really, really love it. And I'm hoping that we'll see some things that might kind of add a little effect of like maybe they have people that'll try and cheat at Gwent and you could possibly catch them and everything like that. And so that can kind of cause different circumstances and things to happen. Because that could really change the scenario. Let's say, you're playing against like a grown man and you're trying to like glean some or information or whatever. And he cheats to try and make sure that you don't win and stuff like that, and you catch him. Okay, well, then you got to deal with that situation. But let's say you're playing a child and the child starts losing and everything like that, and then they cheat, well, you probably wouldn't handle that situation the same as you would an adult, yes? So it can change things based off of the different scenario and the different situation of who you are dealing with in that moment. And so for me, I think that Gwent could be very interesting. And I would love to see the updated cards. Because we know Gwent's going to be a part of it. And we did see a guy in the tech demo trailer getting thrown out of, I believe, a tavern or an inn or whatever, and they were calling him a cheat because he was cheating at Gwent. They threw him out the door. And they're like, "Get out of here, you cheat!" Da 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 da. They're like screaming at him and everything like that. One of the other things that we already know is they have improved a lot on movements. It looks a lot more natural. Um, And so when they move around and everything like that, it seems a lot more natural. So it looks a lot more realistic in how Siri moves around the world and bumping into people. If you bump into people and they're carrying something, they can drop it and then they got to try and pick it up. Um, I'm sure that at different times that can get people upset at you for having that happen and stuff like that. So that actually makes you have to be kind of more conscientious of walking through people and what could possibly happen, and if people are going to spill their stuff or whatever, then you got to be a little more careful. You got to be like, okay, I got to kind of move through a certain way and stuff like that to avoid this happening, so then you're not being a total dick to everybody that's trying to carry some items and stuff like that, because some of these are probably going to be like merchants and stuff like that trying to take their stuff, or maybe they're people that from wherever and they're trying to take them home, and now you're pulling them over and everything like that, so that spills all over the place. um, and another thing on the movements is I heard that they are trying to make it to where you can almost kind of jump into like dialogue scenes right away. Like it's not something to where like, you know I mean, yes, you'll have to like possibly do like a button press to like speak to certain characters and stuff like that. But they want it to where like you can move up to certain things and lean on a railing, lean up against a wall, do things as you move up against things and stuff like that. So it seems kind of more natural and casual as she'll kind of come up and she'll interact with the surroundings and then you can interact with them and start the conversation. They're wanting very natural movements and ways of going about things for the interactions and stuff like that. So I feel that's very interesting. I feel that it will change the feel of it. It'll feel a lot more natural. It'll feel, well, like I keep saying, realistic. It'll feel a lot. You'll have that sense of realism because, you know, when you do go into a conversation and you're going to be there a second, you'll lean against something, or you'll sit down, or you'll do something to kind of like brace yourself because you're going to be standing a while. And so I feel that that changes that. So that's going to give you that kind of an aspect. Now, another thing that I'm really, really hoping for, because they're saying that they're refining combat, and they're making combat a lot more smooth, is I better be able to jump and climb over things in combat. I hated that I couldn't do that in previous titles. That I was stuck. Because when you were in regular basic movement and not in combat, circle was your jump button, if you're PlayStation, obviously. And that was kind of how you would jump over things and climb stuff and everything like that. But as soon as you enter combat, that is your dodge button. That's your basic dodge out of the way. And you can't climb things, you can't do whatever. And then, of course, X is your, roll and everything. So it could make it very, very annoying at times, especially if you got stuck in a certain spot because you couldn't just climb over and get out of there and do whatever. You were just stuck. And so you had to hope you could handle the situation however you had to handle it, whether it was signs or whatever, to deal with the enemies because you got stuck in a spot. And so I hope that that gets added. I hope that they make it to where you can go ahead and climb things and do whatever. I think honestly, they could make it. They could do the same button. Honestly, I mean, if you're, in an area and you're dodging or whatever, and then you're near a wall or whatever and everything like that, and you want to hop over, you should be able to hit the dodge button and just bloop over the wall. I don't see why it has to be any different. And then another thing too is they're talking about how you cast signs and do things while you're in battle. It's going to be a lot more free. She's going to be able to be on the move when she's casting them. You're not going to just stand there and cast your signs and kind of stand still, which I always thought was kind of silly. I always felt I should be able to move, especially when I'm casting like the constant flame or whatever and stuff like that. I felt like you should always be able to move and affect and do different things, and they didn't make it that way. So it always felt kind of detrimental in that light. But the other thing is, I'm very curious and I want there to be where we possibly learn. I would love to like learn more about previous Witchers and them going through the different trials. And I would love to be able to like maybe like there's some sort of like record or something that like holds the memories. Something that we can see what they went through and everything like that. Be cool to see like Vesemir. Geralt, of course, would be interesting. And stuff like that. See them going through their processes. Not just the Trial of Grasses, the Trial of Dreams too, which causes a good few of them to commit suicide because it messes with their mind. Stuff like that. Like, I would love to see these different things and like experience firsthand through like maybe like playable like flashbacks of this kind of stuff where we could see what's happening to them and everything like that, and then that can play into her mutations, her transformation into a full-on Witcher. Because somewhere at some point it happens. Now, I'm thinking that it may very well start at the end of Songs of the Past, which is going to be the expansion for The Witcher 3. Which, interestingly, that expansion is only playable on current gens. They did not make it to where it will be playable and accessible to anybody that is playing on PS4 and stuff like that, which I think is an interesting move. And it makes me feel that possibly like what we're going to see with the Witcher remake that is going to happen, maybe we're going to see updated visuals. Maybe they will go with the look closer to what we're going to see of Ciri and the other characters in The Witcher 4, which I think would be a smart move. Here's why. You will get used to those characters looking that way, right? Because we're going to get updated kind of looks and everything like that because we're going and progressing to this gen. And so they're going to push for what this console can do. And with this Unreal Engine and using this nanite system and everything like that, they can really build some beautiful textures. And I know a lot of people feel a certain way about Unreal Engine. They think that it's very clunky. They think that it's problematic. I've played a lot of games on Unreal Engine. I don't have a problem with it. Now, needless to say, every engine has problems. Every single one. Even the ones that are made specifically by the company. Like CD Projekt Red's Red Engine. It has its own problems. Now, some of that was them speeding along and things like that, but even it has its own glitches and problems. It's not perfect. And we've seen others, that fail too. It's about how they refine the game, not so much the engines itself. And I think a lot of the companies that use Unreal Engine use it because it's very convenient. Well, when you get used to convenience, you kind of tend to throw aside making something as polished as possible, because you're trying to build something fast when you're looking for convenience. Now, CD Projekt Red, I do not think is going to rush any project in any near future because they saw what happened with Cyberpunk on launch. I did not jump on Cyberpunk on launch. I don't remember what I was interested in. I played something else. I came into Cyberpunk later after they started patching it. Loved the game. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. It played well. I never had a problem with it. I think I had it go down one time, and that was a real fluke. I'd never had it happen since. So stuff happens, guys. And so for me, I feel that with this new updated version of the engine and everything like that, I think we are going to see some very beautiful textures and everything like that. And I think they're going to be able to do a lot with movement, gameplay, just overall everything that's going to make the game feel alive and come alive. And they can make things now to the finest little details. I mean, with the trees, they can make it to where they have the finest little details of pine needles and small leaves and other things like that. They can get these details in now because of the engine and how it can produce these different small little shapes to create these textures in this world. And so we're going to start seeing things that are just going to keep looking more and more lifelike as we go along. And I want to throw out such a beautiful example. So I'm sure a good few of you have played Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2. You saw in those games just how realistic they could make it look. I mean, I remember when I started playing, I thought it was literally like a live action opening I literally thought like we were seeing Norman Reedus in like a video like opening walking through like a desert setting. I didn't realize until it went a ways in and it started letting us play that I was actually playing the game, like that it was actually the game's graphics. It was gorgeous. We also saw that with Hellblade. Hellblade is super, super gorgeous. Now, there's a lot of like gameplay aspects and stuff like that from Hellblade that are just not there. It's very limited in the world and where you can move around and what you can do and stuff like that. So they're able to pack in the graphics, whereas Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2 just was gorgeous. And they did a good job for everything you could do in that game. So, back to the topic at hand. I feel they could do the same with The Witcher 4. With this Unreal Engine and the new Nanite system, they could really push this and make it just super butter smooth and super beautiful. I really believe it, guys. I don't know y'all's feelings on it. I know some of y'all are just totally anti Unreal Engine, and that's fine. You don't have to love it. But I feel it's going to work really, really well, and I feel it is going to make this game really, really, really smooth and very pretty. But also, I feel it'll help them make it really dark. And one of the things that I think will also be really, really cool is if they can do more dynamic weather systems. And maybe have certain areas. I always kind of wanted it to where there was more of like areas that were affected by like specters, wraiths, and stuff like that that had kind of weather tied to the curse. You know what I mean? So when you go there, it's dark, it's overcast, it rains all the time, or it's just very gloomy, stuff like that. Like, I think that would be awesome. I think that would just give it a whole different feel. And it would mean so much more when you finally break the curse, because then all of a sudden the overcast is gone, it's not dark and gloomy anymore, you have sunlight, you feel like you're affecting change on the area by just being a witcher and doing your job, right? So how cool would that feel to be able to do that? So anyways, guys, I'm done here. I love y'all. This has been Jack the Stripper discussing The Witcher 4. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. When this goes up, let me know. I want to hear from you. Love y'all. Jack the Stripper out.